The sun was a blade, and the sand was its whetstone. In the desert of Kareth, where even the wind dared not whisper, there stood a caravan girl named Sayra, barefoot, sun-bitten, and eyes like broken sapphire glass. She stepped alone toward a village built from bones and dust. The people didn't speak. They gestured. They didn't greet. They nodded. Because here, the desert punished sound. It stole it, swallowed it, and only the foolish tried to sing. Sayra arrived with nothing but a broken compass, a rusted dagger, and the blackened map her mother left behind before she vanished. A map with one destination scrawled in blood-colored ink: Temple of the Silent Books. As she approached the village elder, he looked at her with one clouded eye and muttered in a voice not used in years, "Elder, why would a girl walk into the silence?" Sayra, to ask the questions no one dares speak. The villagers turned their heads. Her words cracked like thunder. The elder raised a wrinkled finger. "Then follow the bones. But remember, the books have no ink, and the gods have no mercy." Sayra followed the trail of bones. Real bones. Spines, ribs, jaws. Ancient travelers turned into warnings. The temple rose from the dunes like a giant fossil, carved into a rock face, silent and staring. Its entrance was sealed, save for a thin keyhole, shaped like a human eye. Sayra hesitated. Her breath came short. She raised her palm, and the keyhole blinked. A gust of hot wind shoved the door open. The darkness inside was thick enough to chew. Inside, rows of stone bookshelves towered to the ceiling, and on each shelf, dusty books, bound in sand-worn leather. She reached for one and opened it. Empty, page after page. She tried another, and another, all blank. Her hands trembled. Then she saw it, at the center of the temple. A pedestal, and on it one closed book with a golden spine. As she approached, the air changed. It hummed with something alive. "Sayra, please, let there be something inside." She opened the book. Blank. She screamed, not in fear, but fury. But then, the page shifted. Ink began to bleed across it, not from a pen, but from the page itself. Words formed. Letters in a script she shouldn't have known, yet could read perfectly. "Welcome, Sayra of the Forgotten Line." She dropped the book. The entire temple exhaled. Sayra backed away as the book flipped its pages on its own. Page after page filled with golden ink, stories of things she had never seen, but recognized. A boy with hair like moonlight, a city floating above clouds, a blade that cut time. Then, her own name appeared again. Sayra, daughter of Kailitha, reader of the last page. Her blood ran cold. Her mother had been called Kailitha, but no one was supposed to know that name. It had been wiped from the tribe's scrolls. Sayra, whispering, "What are you?" The book quivered and replied, in writing, "I am memory. I am curse. I am the mouth of what was sealed." She blinked. "Sayra, why me?" "Because you are the only one who dares read." Suddenly, the ground trembled. A deep rumble echoed through the walls. One of the stone statues lining the shelves turned its head, just slightly, but enough to make her run. She grabbed the book and sprinted toward the exit. But the door had vanished. The temple had changed. She was no longer in a library. She was in a labyrinth. The labyrinth was lit by torches that lit themselves when she approached. Each corridor led to another room of books, each room identical, but somehow wrong. Statues that had no faces, shelves with no ends. She sat in a corner, panting, and reopened the golden spine book. Maybe it held a way out. The next page read, "Draw what you fear. Only then can you pass." Her hand, on its own, reached for charcoal nearby. She began to draw. Her mother's face, burning. A man in chains. A door that bled light. Suddenly, the drawing moved. The paper curled. Her mother's face blinked. The drawing spoke. Voice from drawing, "He sees you. Stop reading. Stop drawing. Or you'll awaken him." Sayra tore the page and burned it. The voice screamed as ash scattered, Just then, behind her, footsteps. She turned. A stone statue had moved closer, eyes glowing orange. Another page of the book flipped on its own. You have been seen. Sayra found herself pulled into a circular chamber, the walls etched with symbols that glowed when she blinked. At the center, 3 hooded statues stood tall. As she stepped forward, their heads tilted in unison. Statues, in unison you have read, you have drawn, you have remembered, and now you will be judged. Sayra clenched the book against her chest. Sayra, judged by stone? I don't answer to ghosts. The middle statue cracked a smile, real cracks forming on its marble lips. Middle statue, no, you answer to truth. Suddenly, a vortex of light burst above them. Memories, not hers, fell from the ceiling like feathers. A battlefield, a library burning, a woman in white robes being dragged into this very temple. Her mother, Sayra gasped. The statues continued. Left statue, your mother read the book too. Right statue, she tried to rewrite it. Middle statue, and so she was unmade. The pages of the book fluttered again. A new sentence emerged. To keep reading, you must pay. Sayra whispers what price. Suddenly, pain shot through her chest. Her heartbeat faded for a moment. As if something had been taken. The left statue spoke. Left statue, you may keep the book. Right statue, but your shadow belongs to us now. She looked down. Her shadow was gone. Sayra, breath ragged, stumbled from the judgment chamber. The temple walls bent around her, changing again. The book glowed warmer now, heavier in her arms. Behind her, where her shadow should have been, only ink spilled across the floor. And far away, miles beyond the dunes, someone opened their eyes for the first time in centuries. Unseen voice, whisper, another has begun to read. Sayra staggered through the reshaped halls of the temple. The glowing book pulsed against her ribs, warm as skin. Her shadow was still missing, replaced by a long smudge of living ink that slithered behind her like a serpent. Then came the voice, echoing from the walls. Temple voice. You've read too deep. The book is not for the eyes of mortals. Suddenly, the floor beneath her turned to black liquid. She plunged into darkness, screaming. She awoke in a cavern lit by bioluminescent ink dripping from the ceilings like rain. The walls pulsed with moving letters, sliding like insects under glass. This was the ink caves, where cursed readers were exiled. Bones lay scattered across the floor. Some clutched books with bleeding pages. Sayra picked up one. The writing inside screamed in a child's voice. He made me red. Now he lives in me. She dropped it. Sayra, I'm not dying here. I will finish this story. From above, the golden book trembled. A new sentence appeared. You are not the first to say that. She wandered through the ink caves for hours, maybe days, until she saw her. A girl, barefoot, silver-skinned, eyes like liquid gold, sitting by a well of ink. The girl turned slowly, gold-eyed girl. You've read the book? Sayra, yes, you too. The girl nodded, gold-eyed girl. My name is Neri. I read it 10 years ago. It never stops. She opened her own copy. It had no cover, only veins running like roots. Her hands trembled as she flipped to a page. Neri, some pages lie, some pages kill, others choose. Sayra stared. Sayra, what did it choose for you? Neri, to wait. The ink pool at their feet began to stir. Neri whispers. His waking. Suddenly, the cave shook. A deep roar, like 1,000 books closing at once, thundered from the depths. Neri grabbed Sayra's hand. Neri, come. The echo tree is the only way out, and it speaks only to those who've read. As they journeyed through tunnels dripping with whispering ink, Sayra and Neri compared stories. But something was off. Sayra spoke of the golden book addressing her by name, of the glowing pages and statues. Neri frowned. Neri, My book didn't glow. It burned. Sayra, burned. Neri, the first page caught fire when I opened it. My name was never written. Their paths diverged. Their books told different stories. Then came a room with two doors, one made of bones, the other of glass. Both books flipped open. Sayra's book said, "Walk through glass, where truths reflect." Neri's said, "Go through bones, where memories sleep." They stared at each other. Sayra, one of us is being lied to. Neri, quiet. Or both. In the end, Sayra chose glass. Neri chose bones. They held hands before parting. Neri, if you reach the echo tree, ask it why I was left behind. Sayra stepped into a corridor of mirrors, but they didn't show her reflection. They showed versions of her, 100 Sayras, crying, bleeding, laughing, dying. The corridor narrowed until it opened into a garden buried in the deep. At its center stood the echo tree, its trunk twisted like a screaming mouth, its leaves flickering with pages of old books. As Sayra approached, the leaves began to whisper, "Echo tree," in hundreds of voices. "Why do you read what was sealed?" Sayra stood firm. "Sayra, because someone erased my mother. Because someone stole the truth." A low rumble. The bark opened like a ribcage, revealing a chamber inside. Within it floated a book wrapped in chains. Sayra's golden book flipped again. "Do not open that book." But another line appeared just below it. "Unless you want to know why your mother screamed." Her fingers hovered. "Sayra, softly. I want to know everything." She touched the chained book, and it unlocked itself. When the book opened, the air shattered like glass. Sayra wasn't in the echo tree anymore. She was in her mother's memories. A village burned. Robed men dragged Kylitha into the temple. She screamed the same phrase again and again. "You cannot unwrite blood. You cannot unwrite blood." Sayra wept. "Sayra, why did you go into the temple alone?" From the memory, Kylitha turned her head, as if hearing her. "Kylitha, soft. Because I had to protect you from what I saw." The vision collapsed. Sayra was back in the garden, panting. Then she heard the roar. Not from the caves. Not from the tree. From outside. From the world above. Invisible beasts, made of ink and fire, rampaged through the desert village of Kareth. Sayra could see them, but the villagers could not. They screamed blindly. She looked up. The temple was waking. The walls above ground cracked open, releasing lightless monsters. The book opened again. Only readers can see what's coming. Sayra gritted her teeth. "Sayra, then we'll need more readers." Glowing star closing cliffhanger. As the beasts closed in on the world, Sayra stood at the cracked gates of the temple, her book in one hand, her dagger in the other, and behind her, the pages of her mother's screams still fluttered inside the echo tree. Far away, a third book opened, one she had never touched, and someone else began to read. Sayra emerged from the shattered temple as the sky swirled with clouds of black ink. The desert winds howled again, for the first time in centuries. Below her, the village of Kareth was in chaos. Invisible beasts tore through the streets. Houses collapsed without visible force. Villagers screamed, stumbling blindly into destruction. Only Sayra could see the monsters, massive, spindly beasts made of script and smoke, their bodies etched with the same runes from the books. She sprinted toward the village center, shouting, "Sayra, get inside, get underground." But no one listened, until one voice cut through the wind. She speaks the forbidden tongue. Sayra turned. The village priest, Yalam, pointed at her with a shaking hand. "Yalam, she carries the book. She's cursed. She brought this." Villagers turned, torn between fear of her and fear of the unseen storm. Sayra held the golden book above her head. "Sayra, I see what you can't. I can help." Then a second voice rose from the edge of the village. "Neri." Her gold eyes burned bright. "Neri, she's not alone." Two readers, 2 seers. And now, the village would have to choose. The village square turned into a battlefield of beliefs. Half the people, especially the young, rallied behind Sayra and Neri. The other half, led by Elder Yalam, shouted for their exile or death. Villager 1, terrified. We never had beasts before the book. Villager 2, hopeful. But only she can see them. Sayra climbed atop a stone platform, voice clear and fierce. Sayra, my mother tried to protect you. She was silenced. I won't be. She pointed to the sky, where a beast clawed through the clouds. Sayra, they are not demons. They are memories, forgotten truths that were sealed to keep you blind. A child cried out, Child, I saw it, just now. One of them. I saw it. A hush fell. The curse was breaking. Neri, the book wants to be read, but only by those who aren't afraid of truth. The village was split. That night, Sayra and Neri gathered in the shrine, now cracked and pulsing with faint light. They needed proof to turn the tide. Neri opened a scroll from her copy. Neri, there's something beneath the lake, something that can't be rewritten. Sayra and Neri trekked to the sacred lake, where no one had bathed in 100 years. The water was black, still, and reflective like obsidian. As Sayra stepped in, her book burned hot in her hands. She turned a page. Beneath the surface sleeps the mirror that remembers. Neri whispered an incantation from her own book. The water split like glass under pressure, revealing a staircase made of bone and silver. They descended into an underwater chamber filled with fogged mirrors, each mirror showing a moment of someone's life. Sayra walked past them, watching scenes from the village. A man stealing bread and blaming a widow. Yalam hiding scrolls in fire. Her mother screaming, her mouth sewn shut by robed figures. But at the center was the true mirror, a vast slab of polished crystal, taller than a temple door. They stood before it. It didn't show their reflections. It showed a library in flames, a war, a golden book chained to a woman's chest, Sayra's mother. Then came the whisper, Mirror, ask me who lies. Sayra hesitated. Neri clutched her shoulder. Sayra, who erased the truth? The mirror answered not with words, but by showing Yalam, placing a sealing rune upon the temple doors decades ago. He had led the erasure of sight. He had kept the books empty. They returned to the village as dawn broke. Sayra walked to the town square alone. The villagers gathered slowly. The sky was still tinted dark, but the beasts had retreated to the mountain ridges, waiting. Sayra lifted the golden book. Sayra, I have seen the mirror. The books were never empty. They were sealed. And your silence wasn't safety. It was sabotage. Gasps. Murmurs. Yalam stepped forward, his robes billowing. Yalam shaking. Lies. This is madness. Sayra opened the book, letting the pages spin. She read aloud a line no one had ever dared say. I break the silence not with noise, but with memory. The book exploded with light. The villagers dropped to their knees, clutching their heads. And one by one, they remembered. The curse shattered like glass. Eyes opened. Children saw the beasts in the distance. The elders wept as memories poured in, faces of ancestors, names long forgotten, knowledge buried by Yalam and his order. Yalam collapsed, screaming as letters burned across his skin. Yalam! It was for peace. Full peace. Sayra, peace is not blindness. After the unsealing, the elders were summoned. A hidden chamber beneath the shrine was opened, containing hundreds of original books, sealed in glass, never truly blank. Sayra's mother's book was among them. So were books from every family line, detailing truths about the world before the silence. Kingdoms fallen due to lies. Languages erased. Entire bloodlines cursed for knowing too much. The village council confessed. Elder One, weeping. We thought it was mercy. Sight brought madness in the past. Sayra, no. Sight brought revolution. You feared change. Neri stepped forward with her own book. Neri, If truth brings madness, then maybe it's because we were never taught how to carry it. That night, Sayra held her mother's book in her lap. She turned the first page. It read, "To my daughter, should she ever read, I could not save them, but maybe you can." Tears streamed down Sayra's face. Outside, the beast still waited. But now, so did a village ready to see. Even after the curse was broken, not everyone embraced the truth. Some elders clung to the silence like a shield. Others, especially those who had once held power, declared the return of memory to be a plague. Yalam's disciples, their eyes now filled with terror, began spreading new lies. Sight is the final curse. The beasts are illusions sent by the book. Burn the temple, and we return to peace. A group calling themselves the Guardians of Forgetting rose up, armed with spears and scrolls soaked in unbinding ink. They demanded the books be burned, that Sayra and Neri be exiled, or worse. One night, while Sayra slept beside the shrine, a firebomb shattered the altar. She barely escaped as flames engulfed the ancient wood. Neri appeared at her side, burned across the shoulder, panting. "Neri, they've declared us witches. They are going after the children who can now see." Sayra gripped the golden book. "Sayra, then we stop whispering. We roar." She climbed the broken tower of the temple and sounded a bell long thought rusted silent. Its tone cracked across the desert. People emerged from their homes, torches in hand, some in allegiance, some in anger. Sayra shouted, "If you burn the books, you burn your own history. If you silence the seas, you stay blind while your children scream in the dark." A girl stepped forward, maybe 10 years old, eyes shining with new sight. "Little girl, I don't want to forget again." That moment turned the tide. More stepped forward. The rebellion of silence began to fall. But victory wasn't enough. Not yet. Sayra's book glowed again, hotter than ever before. A new page appeared, one that seemed to throb with breath. "Climb the tower that sees all. Learn why you were chosen." The tower stood on the mountain's back, a spire carved from stone and legend, long swallowed by storms and forgotten winds. Sayra and Neri ascended its spiral steps, wind howling louder with each level. As they climbed, visions swirled around them. Books floating mid-air, wars inked into the sky. Sayra's own face carved into the walls, alongside her mother's. "Neri, you were meant to reach the end." Sayra, softly, "I never wanted this." Neri, smiling faintly, "No one does. Not truly, but some are born written in fire." At the summit, they found a lens of obsidian, a disc that hovered, turning slowly, casting beams of light onto ancient maps. Sayra approached, the book in her hands opened without her touch. "You are the last reader. The temple was never meant to imprison. It was meant to awaken." Suddenly, Sayra saw everything. The original keepers of memory burned alive in the First War. Her mother, spared by prophecy, hiding her daughter in the dunes. A beast, a massive, godlike creature, sealed inside the book itself. And one final line appeared. "When the sun touches the mountain, the seal breaks." At dawn, Sayra and Neri stood atop the tower. Below, the beast stirred, no longer hiding. The sky was red gold. The sun rose higher. Sayra felt it before she saw it, the warmth of the sun striking the spire. Then, a crack echoed across the mountain. The golden book burned white. From within its pages, a giant ink-bound shape emerged, a beast the size of a city, its eyes hollow scrolls, its voice a hurricane of screaming syllables. It wasn't evil. It wasn't angry. It was memory itself, unshackled. Neri, in awe. "Is it a god?" "Sayra, it's what we forgot, what they made us forget." The villagers watched in terror. Sayra stepped toward the beast. Her golden book floated before her, pages flapping like wings. A voice entered her mind, booming and infinite. "Memory beast, I am not your savior. I am your shadow. I will show you everything." Sayra fell to her knees as memories not her own flooded in. the invention of ink, the first lie ever told, the burning of the Moon Library, the children made to forget their own names. Tears streamed down her face. Then, a choice appeared in the book. Let all remember, and chaos will come. Let all forget, and the silence will return. Or choose which memories remain. Sayra sat with the weight of history pressing on her chest. If she released all memory, kingdoms would crumble. People would remember the horrors they chose to erase. If she sealed it again, the lies would live forever, and her mother's sacrifice would be in vain. She looked to Neri. Sayra, what would you do? Neri, quiet. I would choose. Some memories burn more than they teach. Sayra nodded, trembling. She flipped to the final page. There, in her mother's handwriting. Choose with love, not rage. Let the truth that heals remain. Let the pain that destroys rest. Sayra wrote in the book for the first time. Each word a sacrifice, a piece of herself left behind. She kept the names, the origins, the forgotten languages, but she sealed the memory of torture, of the scream chambers, of how her mother died, and finally of her own identity as the last reader. The book glowed, then turned to ash, and with it, Sayra's memories faded. Neri caught her as she collapsed. Neri, weeping. You gave it all to give us something better. Sayra looked up, eyes blank but peaceful. Sayra, who are you? Years passed. The village of Kareth became a place of sight, sound, and remembrance. Children were taught truth with compassion. The books returned, no longer cursed, but shared. The temple of the silent books became the sanctuary of the remembered. Statues of Sayra and Neri stood by the echo tree, engraved with the words, "We do not fear memory. We read it carefully." Sayra lived in the village still. She never remembered who she was, but she smiled at the children, tended the gardens, watched the sunrise from the temple steps, and every now and then, she would hold a blank book in her hands. It would glow just for a moment, and sometimes, just sometimes, a single sentence would appear. She chose love. In the final scene, as the camera pans over the peaceful village, a child in the background picks up a glowing scroll buried in sand. They look at it. It opens to a page written in golden ink. The wind whispers. The books in the temple are empty, except one. This finale delivers a satisfying emotional sacrifice. Sayra gives up everything, including her identity. A late choice, memory versus forgetting, a universal theme with personal stakes. Neri's arc is completed. She becomes the guardian of Sayra's legacy. Strong visual symbolism. Sunlight breaking the seal, the god of memory, the echo tree. Perfect ending hook for sequel, series ***. A new child reader finds the spark again.